Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing another episode of Disventure Camp Hot Takes. You guys seem to really enjoy this series, so I figured, why not? Let's do more. Today we're going to be doing 6 delicious hot takes from the viewers. These were comments on the previous episode, Disventure Camp Hot Takes 4.0, or actually no, 3.0. No one really left any comments on 4.0, and that's actually why I've been kind of reluctant to do this series. I'm like, is there still interest in this series? If there is, let me know. Leave likes, leave comments, leave your own hot takes, and, if you feel like it, donate to us on Patreon. We have a Patreon account. It's been pretty stagnant ever since the Disventure Dispatch ended, but, if you feel like it, go for it. Why not? So today we're going to be doing several hot takes, and let's see what they are. The first one comes from, I can't even pronounce this, CNTN is what it looks like, but it's in, I think, Russian or something. I don't think the DC5 cast is that bad. I do think it could have been better, but it's a fine cast. So right off the bat, very short and sweet hot take. Let's go Google the Disventure Camp Season 5 cast. I don't remember them off the top of my head. The favorites, I assume, is what it's talking about. Right off the bat, I don't like how it's 7 of the characters from All-Stars. I don't like how, out of the 8 DC1 and DC2 returnees, it's gotta be 7 from All-Stars. It's like, why? All-Stars, for me, feels like such a good stopping point for the series, and then you bring them back, and you don't even bring back the ones that I feel like have, and I don't like this word, but, potential. I don't like how you bring back the ones that feel like they have more so completed stories, or you've already had a lot of screen time for them, because for the most part, so far, it's been 3 episodes of DC5. A lot of the favorites feel like they're just kind of going through the motions and not doing things that are kind of heavy. And I get it, because this season is a lot more lighthearted so far, compared to All-Stars, which had such big emphasis on this being a clash of the seasons, and there was this big time skip, and, everyone's in a different part of life. DC5 feels like it's completely different, philosophy going on. A completely different philosophy, where it feels more jovial and lighthearted, and, we're not really going to acknowledge the past, we're not going to have that many callbacks, it's not going to be too heavy on the real world implications so far. That could change. Maybe my ass will get, burnt to a crisp in the next few episodes, but at the moment, that's the big divide between All-Stars. All-Stars had so much emphasis on how time progressed, and here in DC5, I don't feel that. Anyway, really quickly, I think Alec is probably the one that I'm like, it's fine. I feel like, in hindsight, his ending in All-Stars is not as defined as some of the other ones. If they brought back Connor or Rhea or Jake, I would have been pretty pissed off. Not because, I hate those characters, because, I like All-Stars, and a lot of, half the people are going to click off this video as I say that. But Alec is the one that I'm like, okay, you know what, out of the final 6, fine. He's the one that I think you could probably bring back. Tom, I'm kind of iffy. Yeah, he kind of got scuffed in All-Stars. He didn't last nearly as long, and it is interesting to see him without Jake, but at the same time, I'm like, we have the Tom Drake spinoff to develop Tom. Let's use a different character. Fury, I don't mind. I have gone on the record, and I mentioned this in a previous Hot Takes video, that Fury is a character that probably makes the most sense to return because she started so young, and it'd be cool to see her as a tween or a teenager, but to bring her back when she's like 10, it's like, come on. We're just doing this because the Alec Fury thing is something people like, and even so far, I'd argue that it's not capturing the magic, because they're all, strategy focused, and it's not nearly as fun, It's not nearly as interesting, in my opinion. I've said this on the recent Dispatch episodes. It's it feels like they're just, they don't understand why Fury and Alec were so popular. Why it's such a fun, dynamic duo, right? Yeah, Gabby, I am interested in seeing Gabby without Ellie for once, but at the same time, Gabby is just really comic relief, and I'm gonna be honest, the Gom stuff, Gabby-Tom friendship is so grating, it's so obnoxious. I feel like they're just kind of milking it, and it's more so Tom's development. Gabby is just there to be an asset for Tom, and I don't like that. I hope Gabby outlasts him, but that already kind of happened in All-Stars. I don't know. I feel like Tom is so early boot-coded, because in the intro, he's not really doing anything, but it's I don't know. I can see him being, one of the first favorites out because he's, one of the ones that have been pretty developed, especially because at the moment, he's not getting a whole lot of stuff. A lot less than you'd think. A lot of these characters get a lot less content than you'd expect. You'd expect that the early parts of DC5 would really justify why they're back, especially the ones that are probably going to be early boots, right? But here, they just feel like they're just going through the motions. It feels like an episodic TV show, and I get that's, what it is and what Total Drama is, but ultimately, I loved how strongly serialized All-Stars felt. I get it, it's a serialized show, people get eliminated one episode after the other, but I always felt like there was such a loose connection to that continuity, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I feel like DC5 is so, cartoonish without treats continuity, if that makes sense. Rose is here. Rose makes sense. I'm okay with that. Aiden's like, I don't know. I get it. He's thumbnail bait, but like, you know, the DC2 remake did flesh him out a lot more as a previous fan in ways that the original DC2 and even parts of All Stars didn't do that well. But like, I don't know. Do we really need to see Aiden again? Lake is a character that I could go on and on about. I always felt that Lake was super overrated. And now that the DC2 has been remade, I think a lot of people are beginning to see the flaws, that Lake's story is just kind of boring and generic. Now that everyone else has such a nicer story, she kind of like, you know, in the beta, it was a nice story for what DC2 beta was. You know, small fish in a small, or big fish in a small pond, medium-sized fish in a small pond. But now that the pond is a lot bigger, she really stands out, and I don't know, I don't like it. Allie, I'm like, why is Allie back? Like, the breakup with Hunter, I'm not happy with. I think now that enough time has passed, I really thought about it, and I was like, this was a bad idea. Okay, it's not a bad idea. It's an inoffensive idea. It's an idea that doesn't majorly impact the story, because at least they had an amicable, friendly breakup. But I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like the message it leaves behind. Whatever. She hasn't... I don't think she's mentioned Hunter yet, actually, in DC5. It's just like, why? It was so nice how it ended in All-Stars. Whatever. People broke it up. I'm not happy with it, but whatever. I'm just gonna live in the universe where DC All-Stars was the ending of the series. I'll just live in that Delulu universe. This is the only time I'll accept being delusional. Because yeah, it's just a stopping point, right? You can just, you know, stop wherever you feel like. You're not contradicting it, you're just stopping after All-Stars. Anyway, I don't mind the DC forecast, to be honest. Benji, Spencer, Natalia, I like that. And Anastasia's the one that I'm kind of iffy on. I don't know who I would replace her with, but I feel like Anastasia is just a character that had such a weird execution. The way that they paid off her character is kind of odd, and I felt like, you know, for a character who's in the entirety of DC4, you could have given it to one of the other mergers if you're really not going to do pre-mergers. I don't know, Anastasia, I'm kind of like, I don't know, we'll see how it goes, I feel like she's going to make a deep-ish run, maybe 15, 16 episodes, but yeah, I don't know, I don't think it's as bad as people made it out to be, but I do think that it could be better. Who would I prefer? I would have preferred Hunter or Tess without Allie. Allie already got All-Stars. Tess doesn't really have a season to shine, and Hunter is pretty great in DC2 in a way that can be expanded on, or DC2 remake. I feel like we don't need Allie, or Aiden, for that matter. Gabby, I mean, I did complain about Gabby, but, like, you know, Gabby herself being here is fine. I think just replace Tom. Fury, I don't know, because I feel like one of Alec and Fury, not both. And I would prefer saving Fury for a season where she's older. If we really aren't going to do pre-mergers, then, like, I guess I would rather have, like, I don't know, like, well, Ellie without Gabby could be interesting, but, like, I don't know. If we're really not doing pre-mergers, I don't know who the DC1 person would be. Because, like, Miriam, no, I wouldn't want Grett, because, like, I feel like a lot of people really want Grett, and I'm like, I feel like Grett's All-Star story is good enough. Like, I'm happy with where she ended. Doesn't really leave a lot of options here. Oh, well. Well, I guess keep Fury and then someone else other than Alec, but then you only have Jake as an option, and, like, I don't think Jake should come back, so whatever. Maybe you just keep both Alec and Fury. Maybe that's fine. Just, like, you know, capture the magic of why they're such a good pairing. Anyway, next up we have from Fell from the Pedestal. Hey, here's some hot takes of Disventure Camp. Grett wasn't as well written as people say she was during episodes 1 to 13 of All-Stars. I don't think people are saying she's well written. I hate to say it. I think she's well written, but I don't think that's a hot take to say. I think that's the common agreement, the common opinion. In season 1 and aftermath of episode 13, she's great and really cohesive, but her arc with Yule has no real direction. What do you mean no real direction? She doesn't like Yule. Little by little, it starts to show once Yule gets deeper into the game, once, like, more time has gone on, Yule gets really annoyed, he's lost his vices, because Jared explained this, and maybe he shouldn't have explained this, maybe this should have been in the episodes, but, like, when Yule and Grett only see each other, like, once a week, it's fine, he can pretend for the cameras, but being with her 24/7 really starts to crack, and it, you know, the ugliness of Yule starts to really show. Eventually, you know, she has Rhea help her out, being like, hey, what happened to you? You used to be so cool in season 1, you did not take shit from anyone, what the fuck happened to you? I used to look up to you. Very important scene that no one ever really talked about. It really pissed me off. That was like the big recontextualization moment. It was like in episode 9, and like no one really talked about it. In fact, people dunked on it. It's like, what the fuck? This was the moment. Anyway, Yule's cruel. She says some things to defend herself. He insults her. She folds every time. Even when Gabby and Rhea get involved, it still takes several episodes to see her active change in how she acts around Yule. It should have been done in a more gradual slope, because the way it is in canon, Grett just suddenly puts her foot down in episode 13. It should have been more built up to. I feel like it was. I feel like it's internalized. It's something that's more implicit with Grett's actions, Grett's words. Gabby has a conversation with her. She starts to, Gabby starts to forgive her, because even Gabby's like, no, Grett doesn't deserve this. She bullied me. She fucking bullied me a lot in season 1, but even she doesn't deserve this amount of vitriol and abuse. If it was paced as episodes 1 to 6, she gets shut down in episodes 7 to 9 and stands up for herself. In episodes 10 to 12, she takes control. In episode 13, she cuts it off. It'd be much more built up to and satisfying, and could work due to the whole PR relationship thing going on. I mean, I think that's a little fair. I do think that eventually it reaches a point where it's just really repetitive, and it's like, okay, we're just waiting until the eventual Yule flip, which had to be episode 13, the superhero episode. But, I don't know. At the same time, I'm of the opinion that I actually really like Grett in All-Stars, and I really don't like Grett in DC1. I think a lot of people have the wrong takeaway. That people say that, oh, Grett in DC1 was so strong and Grett in All-Stars is so weak, and I'm like, I think it's the reverse. I think Grett in DC1 doesn't really learn anything. I feel like she flips, people off. She kind of becomes a bad influence. She kind of becomes a clout chaser and all that stuff, and then DC All-Stars, she has to directly confront an abuser. She's like, hey, fuck you, you're an asshole, I'm cutting you off. That doesn't really happen in DC1. I feel like DC1, her lesson is like, oh, it's okay to wear masks and just be rude to people, and then DC All-Stars, she learns about the greatness of Gabby and the thing with the branch and cuts Yule off, and, I don't know, she just like, what, fuck it, I don't need to win, I'm happy with where I am in life. That's my takeaway. I could go on and on about this, but I'll stop here. My second hot take is related in a way, and it's that Yule is one of the only characters who was better in the beta. Yule in the beta had the same humor, but he was calm with how he said his insults, and he was trying to be a strategic player. He eased Hunter into an alliance in the OG, but in the remake, he just told him he was in it. Yule S3 and S2 remake is a lot more loud, annoying, less strategic. He's shock value instead of a strategic villain with meaningful insults. Okay, so I think my takeaway with that, I don't like Yule in the remake because his insults just feel so structured, like he's this theater kid kind of person you'd see in high school. A lot of the DC4 characters and even the DC5 newbies are theater kids, so it's like, why is he a theater kid? He's not supposed to be this structured with his insults. He's supposed to say stuff that's really stupid and doesn't make sense and is corny, and instead he has like these insults that feel scripted, I guess, and it's not my Yule, hashtag not my Yule. I don't know, it's like he makes like insults that are like, references like musicals, like Anne of Green Gables, I think, at one point. Polly Pocket, The Sound of Music, and I'm like, really? This is not what you would do. Like, I don't know, again, maybe it's another thing like, oh, why does this guy know, what does this guy think he knows how the character is supposed to be? And it's like, fair, but, I don't know, it just, to me, you're making him something that he's not, and I don't like that. Just keep his insults really fucking stupid, please. I don't mind getting rid of the more, like, edgy humor, but I don't know. If you're trying to segue into All-Stars, it's not a good look, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I've only rewatched the remake once. I think Yule was fine. I think he had a more lasting impression in the beta because he was so unhinged and stuff like that, but yeah, I don't know. Next up, we have Giovanni Orellana, 2200. My hot take is that Jade should have been the antagonist. If they weren't and ultimately didn't commit to Isabel being the villain, Jade would have been a good antagonist without being overly malicious. I think, like, maybe not antagonist, but definitely, like, anti-hero or even anti-villain. I think that could have probably caused problems because Jade, like, firstly, DC4, very diverse season, and yet the final 3 is 2/3 white people. And if Jade is the villain, then it's like, we're really not doing well for ONC's reputation of always making, the people of color the the antagonists, right? The more malicious characters. In fact, as someone who is Asian, I am not that happy that Ara is a villain so far in DC5. Maybe it'll change. Maybe it'll be subverted. Maybe she's a fun villain. But at the moment, I'm like, really? We're really doing this? After Rhea, after Yule, we're doing Ara as well? And, like, I get it. Hannah was also, protagonist type, but at the same time, she was very, like, pitiful, I guess. Always, how do I describe this? Always, suffering. And it's like, bruh, why can't we have a Asian character who's not this? Like, I get it. At a certain point, like, I do think that Yule and Rhea were at the expense of DC2 being fan-submitted characters. So it's not, ONC's fault. It's you guys, because you guys created the subculture of all the, minority characters being villains, right? And Total Drama, Original Sin, because you have Heather, Courtney, Alejandro, right? Even though I love Total Drama, this is not a diss on Total Drama. Okay, do not be like the weirdos who like take what I say and then just because I say I like waffles doesn't mean I don't like pancakes. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, would Jade have been a good antagonist? I think she's a good anti-hero figure. I kind of like what she represents. I'm kind of sad that Isabel wasn't able to be this mustache-twirling sort of evil nun, cartoony, really push the boundaries with how cartoony this character is. I don't know if Jade would have been a good antagonist, though. I think, because she's strategic. So strategic to a point where it gets kind of grating, but strategic nonetheless. And I do think that can make for a fun character, but I don't know. I'm going to say I don't know with this one. This one's I'm not entirely positive on. Next up, we have from Long Lulls. My hot take is that DC doesn't bridge the gap between funny pre-merge episodes and dramatic post-merge episodes very well. I'm fine with differing vibes from each half of the season. I just think that they could have a naturally shifting feel rather than going from 0 to 100 like it does now. Is this in reference to DC4 and maybe even DC2 Remake? Yeah, because DC2 Remake, the first few episodes, funny story is that because the first 4 episodes were under the Total Drama moniker, I guess, the beta, that's kind of why the DC2 Remake at times feels closer to Total Drama, and that's not a bad thing, because I really do love the early episodes of the DC2 Remake. It's only until a certain point where things get super dramatic, and maybe that's when, for some people, it can be hard to really, cope, because it's like, this is such a weird shift. And maybe DC4 as well. DC4, now that I think about it, yeah, the first few episodes were very fun. You have cool moments like Diego doing, his little Tai Chi with his team. Stuff like that feels really absent in the later parts of DC4, where it becomes really melodramatic and really angsty and overly strategic to a point where I want to rip my hair out. But I think that's fair. I think that DC1 and All Stars really managed to do that balance where it's still, don't kill me for saying this, but it's still fun. Don't kill me for saying that with All Stars. Occasionally going to more darker territory while still having this overarching feeling of like, oh, this shit is gonna get dark. We're losing these contestants one by one, and this story is starting to get serious. And I feel like DC2 Remake and DC4 have this hard balance of still trying to be, jovial and fun, whilst also talking about pretty serious subject matter. I think that's fair. I think this is a very fair take that, I'm not saying it should be one or the other. I'm not saying that. It's just have mix of both. Have mix of both the funny gags and also the dramatic moments throughout the season rather than it feeling super segmented. Right, I think that's fair. I think this is a good take from Long Lulls. Next up, we have Sourdough, this goober, commenting, Benji and Hannah have so much better chemistry in comparison to Benji and Tristan, and I'm so sad the form didn't become a couple. Maybe if Tristan lasted longer, Trinji would have been much better, but that's speculation. As it stands now, Logana is so lame, popular opinion, and Trinji is just alright. I agree. I think both Trinji and Logan Anna just feel so last minute, and it's like, Benji and Hannah would have been cool because, it's 2 people of color. At the same time, I don't mind that being sibling coded. I know people are like, oh, what the heck? There was like these weird comments from Hannah that does not match siblings, but like, Hannah's a theater kid, okay? Well, most of the DC forecast is theater kids, and as someone who also is a theater kid, it does piss me off. It's like, why is everyone a theater kid? Come on, this is, like, the character writing is kind of like, it kind of gets diminished if everyone is like this. And Logan and Hannah are also the 2, middle Gen Z characters who talk like millennials, and it does piss me off, but that's besides the point. Yeah, I think that Trinji and Logana, I hate that ship name so much, feel so last minute, and it is disappointing to know that, like, yeah, it's another pairing where a person of color is with a white person. I assume Tristan is white, right? I'm pretty sure they're white. Anyway, I think that's fair that, like, for the most part, it feels like there's not nearly as much chemistry going on because they didn't get the screen time, because it feels like it was improvised on the spot, and I think it was. I generally think it was. No hate at all, but whereas Hannah and Benji got like so many more episodes, and I think that once Benji's out of the game, Hannah really devotes herself to, avenging him for the most part and remembering his memory, and it's like, come on, it's cute. That could have been something. I don't know. It's really hard because I really do like the sibling dynamic that they have, but I also agree that like it could have been a cute couple. Could have been a cute nerdy sort of couple as long as Hannah makes the age-appropriate references. Even Benji at times, how old is Benji? Actually, even Benji at times, like the anime he references, I'm like, this is not what like someone your age would be referencing. This is like, this is like an older goober Dragon Ball Z. It's like that's it's like, come on, that I know that's the go-to thing where it's like you want to be, you want to have a character that references anime, but come on, Come on, his favorite anime is an Origami. Come on, 2003. Okay, yeah, no, it's like, come on. The second hot take from Sourdough is that I don't particularly care for Gab Ellie. In season 1, they really don't feel like they have any chemistry at all, and they're much better in DC All-Stars. This is gonna get me killed, but I always thought that Gabby and Ellie, for the most part, they feel like they are somewhat disconnected with their dialogue, if that makes sense. That's not me saying that about the voice actors. That's just me talking about like who they are as people and their chemistry. It's not nearly as strong. I do think that Tom and Jake, the Tom Jake show has helped that a lot. I'm led to believe that Gabby is more in love with Ellie than Ellie is with Gabby. Fair. Sure, Ellie does show she cares. The DC All-Stars finale comes to mind where Ellie quits helping Rhea, even if 100k is on the line, because Gabby means more than the money. Yes, that's good, Sourdough. It's good that you were commenting on this, because a lot of people, who when the finale wasn't out yet, when episode 11 and episode 19 weren't out yet, and I will say this over and over and over again, because it does piss me off, when people were like, oh my god, Gabby's words are so hollow, what are they gonna do? Ellie's out of the game, they can't develop, and it's like, yeah, we can. Okay, it's not total drama. Total drama, like, when a character's eliminated, they're basically irrelevant to the story. Here, we're not total drama. We work differently, okay? Even beyond that, it's like, yeah, times have changed since the total drama days. It's been, like, 2 decades, okay? We don't have to follow that structure. There's no set-in-stone rules of how to write an elimination show. Anyway, sorry, that's me being pissed off. There's no set-in-stone rules for any genre, actually. But anyway, I feel like I'm being told Ellie loves Gabby with things like that versus being shown that Ellie loves Gabby. I think you're right. I think okay, to be fair to what I've been saying over and over again, there are genuine reasons why we as, proofreaders and writers had to include those scenes, because for the most part, it feels like Ellie is kind of neglectful towards Gabby. She doesn't show as much love. She's not committing nearly as much in the relationship, and I think that's fair. I think we have a lot of dialogue of Ellie saying that, but, actions speak louder than words. Ellie is not acting nearly as composed and devoted to Gabby as she should, right? I think it's fair. I do think that the Tom Drake show kind of helps that for the most part, but that's right. I think when this was written, Tom Drake show wasn't out yet. No. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe this was around December-ish, so maybe it wasn't out yet. I don't remember when it came out. It's been a long few months, folks. All right, last one from Just a Boy. Last one. My hot take is that All Stars was the worst season, but had the best fandom. I am inclined to agree with that. I think that the All Stars fandom was pretty good. It was a lot of people. It was a lot bigger because there were a lot more fans at the time. A lot more mature people, because I think that personally All-Stars to me feels like, and maybe someone will object in the comments, I'm not speaking on behalf of everyone, but to me All-Stars feels like what a lot of people wanted total drama to be back in 2015, 2016-ish, where it's like, after the Redonkulous race, there was this big subsection of fans that were like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. I'm excited for Total Drama to go to more territory, exploring characters that didn't get nearly as much time like Noah and Jeff did in Redonkulous race. Maybe go into slightly more serious subject matter. Obviously, it's a Cartoon Network show, so it can't go too far, but, do things that feel less cartoony than, Pocktail and All-Stars and even Revenge of the Island. Go into more grounded territory that's still fun. And I think that, for me, All-Stars represents what it means to be in this reality TV genre. It really deconstructs the entire genre in a way that you don't really see. You don't really see a lot of shows attempt to do time skips and explore how the characters are functioning beyond that and how the relationships are affected. And I think that, because of that, the fandom at the time lean towards older fans. I'm not talking about 30-year-olds, like the fans that were with the OG Total Drama. I'm talking about the fans that maybe got on board 2010 to 2014, 2015-ish, right? A lot of people my age, 23 to 26-year-olds. And I think that was fun. I think nowadays, most Disventure Camp fans are significantly younger, aged, maybe at the oldest, the upper peak would be 21, going so low as, even 14-year-olds. And I think, at least for me personally, that's not nearly as fun. I'd rather hang out with people around my age, right? So, yeah, and I mean, there were even a lot of YouTubers doing content, a lot of, YouTubers who skewed towards, older, I don't want to say generations, but older people. And that was fun. It was fun to see that content come out, and it felt more like a cohesive community. I feel like DC4 didn't really capture that magic nearly as well. I know the voice actors were pretty tight there, and maybe there was more niches to go to, but it wasn't nearly as common as All-Stars was. And I feel like All-Stars really is the peak of how fun the fandom was. I feel like, I'm not saying the fandom's bad, but I'm saying that because it was more popular, You look at some of those episodes of views; they are much higher than DC4 and even DC5. And yeah, sadly we can't recapture that magic. Maybe something was just in the air in 2024 that we've lost. And yeah, I think that's a fair take from Just a Boy. So thank you all for watching this episode of Disventure Camp Hot Takes. I hope you enjoy. If you have your own hot takes, leave them in the comments below. We'll do them for Disventure Camp, ranking your Disventure Camp Hot Takes 6.0. But with that in mind, my name is Jpeg. My YouTube channel is Golden Goose Productions. Please subscribe, donate to the Patreon if you feel like it. And yeah, see you guys next time. Bye!